Once we were able to get all the video together and really firm up where he had gone and the fact that he did get back into a vehicle and get a little bit more information about things through the video, that's when we started putting things out to law enforcement. We started getting some information back, and that led us ultimately to Mr. Isaak.
Welcome back. Our next live trial here on Court TV is a case out of North Dakota where a chiropractor is charged in a workplace massacre that left 4 people dead. Jury selection is already underway. Our Chad Painter is there. She's going to join us with an update in a minute. But first, to get us up to speed, here is Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae.
The murder of 4 co-workers at this property management company still baffles the town of Mandan, North Dakota. On April 1st, 2019, William and Lois Cobb, Adam Fuehrer, and Robert Fakler were all shot and stabbed to death inside RJR Maintenance and Management.
It was quite a shock that morning. That's not something normally that we would hear. I mean, it's something very unusual.
Deputy Chief of Police Lois Flayton recalls the shocking dispatch report.
Maybe 1 or 2 a year, and we may go a year or 2 without, but we do have them, but not multiple, not when you're looking at 4 deaths. That's something very unusual even for the state, not just Mandan.
The attacker carried out the massacre in a matter of minutes, then vanished, leaving a community on edge.
It took a while before we started to really piece together his trail to find out where he was going.
Surveillance footage shows the murder suspect going into RJR Management before business hours, then stealing a company truck to flee. The masked individual only drives a few yards to the Indigo Signs business next door.
And then he eventually left on foot and went over towards McDonald's, where he had a vehicle parked.
A McDonald's employee called 911 to report a suspicious person wearing a camouflage mask. The caller completely unaware of the slaughter just down the street.
We want to reiterate that we do not feel the public is in any danger. While we strongly believe that this is a targeted, isolated incident, the public should always keep their safety in mind.
3 days passed with no arrests. Then a break in the case came 44 miles away from the murder scene in Washburn, North Dakota. A deputy spotted a truck matching the suspect's vehicle. It belonged to Chad Isaak, the deputy's own chiropractor.
Evidence discovered on Isaak and in the vehicle provided probable cause to place Isaak under arrest for the murders.
Isaak was booked into jail, charged with 4 counts of murder, burglary, and unauthorized use of a vehicle. Police searched his mobile home, finding 9 shell casings and gun parts. Prosecutors say fibers found at the scene and on Isaak link him to the crime. What they don't have is a clear link between Isaak and the 4 victims.
You know, obviously with management companies, sometimes there's tenants that aren't happy about things. So it wasn't like they're like, oh yeah, this guy, he was in here screaming and yelling the other day, making threats. You know, we've been worried about him. There was nothing like that.
RJR managed the property where Isaak lived, but the company says he was a model tenant with no known issues. Now the 47-year-old faces life in prison for a workplace massacre that remains unexplained.
Since it happened, the question that we get all the time is, what was the motive? And we have to answer, we don't know. We don't know.
Chad Painter is in North Dakota, joins us live from outside the courthouse tonight. Good evening to you, Chanley. Jury selection day 1. What can you tell us?
Well, the 20 of 36 prospective jurors that are needed before the attorneys exercise their strikes was accomplished today on day 1 of jury selection, Ted. So based on the massive pretrial publicity that this quadruple murder garnered over the years, the defense filed a motion to change venue. That was denied by the judge, but the judge put in place a couple of precautions to ensure that these prospective jurors are vetted appropriately. They can be fair and impartial. So there was a questionnaire sent out to around 140 prospective jurors in June. 77 made the cut. They've been showing up one at a time inside this courtroom all day long for individual sequestered voir dire. Then if they make it out of that round, then they're part of this pool of 36. And then we'll have a jury of 12 and 2 alternates, hopefully, tomorrow afternoon. But here's a look at where we are in North Dakota. We're in Morton County. Population around 31,000, 92% white. The county seat is Mandan. That's where I am right now. 22,000 residents here. The defendant is actually from Washburn, which is around 40 miles north of where I am right now in a different county. And we're just across the river, Missouri River, from Bismarck, the capital of North Dakota. But as you can imagine, being such a rural part of the state, homicides rarely happen, especially quadruple homicide, Ted.
Yeah, in this case, had to have gotten, it was a national case. I remember when it happened, but there, of those 22,000, I would think that 22,000 would have heard about it. But as you said, the individual voir dire, the big precaution is, what do you know and can you put it behind you? You're saying they've made great progress. Let's talk about the case itself. The state does have a lot of ammunition. The one thing they don't have, obviously, is why did he do it? We just heard from the assistant police chief there, but they've got a lot of other bits of evidence that this jury is going to be exposed to.
Oh yeah, they certainly do. We expect to hear a strong circumstantial case against the defendant, Chad Isaak. We've poured through some of the court documents, the affidavit, to collect that in a way that we can make sense for our viewers, so we can put up on the screen what we expect the prosecution to really tie together, because there's no direct eyewitness evidence for the prosecution. The key here for the investigation in those early days that tied them to a suspect was the surveillance video from RJR management and along Memorial Highway. I drove along that highway today. There's lots of businesses, and they have all this video of a suspect arriving, leaving RJR, the suspect taking an RJR vehicle, driving it a little ways, then walking down Memorial Highway to the McDonald's, where there's an eyewitness who called police about a suspicious person with a ski mask on in the parking lot there. And then they tie the white truck that person in McDonald's gets in to Washburn, North Dakota. That's tied to the defendant, Chad Isaak. A deputy there identifies that truck as his chiropractor's truck. Then the home of the defendant is searched, and get this, Ted, they find clothes matching the clothes the suspect wore in the surveillance video. They find shoes that match prints at the crime scene. The exactly 9 shell casings hidden in his home that match the bullets found in the victims' bodies. There's a knife also. There's a gun box purchased the day prior to the murders in his home. Gun parts found in his kitchen freezer. And when the defendant himself is looked over, there's injuries to his knees and a tie to RJR in the defendant's home, a business card of one of the co-owners there in his home. So even though there's no murder or clear real link, we know that the property the defendant rented at the time in his mobile home was managed by RJR management and maintenance, but that could be a weakness really for the prosecution here. We know the prosecution doesn't have to prove motive, Ted, but juries sure like to hear why this happened, especially 4 people murdered in a brutal way. And of course, his face is not on any of those surveillance cameras, even though it's key to the prosecution's case. And we did speak to that deputy police chief about that. Let's listen.
Since it happened, the question that we get all the time is, what was the motive? And we have to answer, we don't know. We don't know. We haven't been able to find one that we know could be the absolute answer, and he has not said. So we don't know. People always say, well, you're not telling us. No, we'd love to know too. We don't know what his motive was.
She goes on to say that in the jail calls the defendant makes, really all he seems concerned about is his dog that he had at the time, the whereabouts of the dog. They really haven't learned any clues since his arrest on what he was thinking or doing. He hired a lawyer pretty quick and hasn't talked.
That is, everyone wants to know why would you take 4 lives for no apparent reason? Obviously, he either has a reason or he doesn't, and that's even scarier. Chanley Painter, if of course this is an alleged, if he's found guilty. Chanley, thank you. You'll be in North Dakota for the trial. We'll check in with you again tomorrow night and throughout the day tomorrow as they continue that jury selection process. Let's talk about this case with our think tank tonight. Brian Weiss, criminal defense attorney, civil rights attorney, also Casey Early and Michael Bixon joining us from Atlanta. All right, Brian, to you first here. Your thoughts on the overall state's case against the defendant. It seems like they have a lot of circumstantial evidence, but you don't have that ID and you don't have a motive, a story to tell in openings. He came there because he was disgruntled work. They don't know why he showed up there and basically massacred 4 people, if indeed he did it.
Well, I feel a whole lot better in most cases with circumstantial evidence as opposed to eyewitness testimony, because the penitentiaries are not only full of defendants convicted on circumstantial evidence, but unfortunately, there are far too many defendants wrongfully convicted on eyewitness testimony. And Ted, there's a very good reason why the law doesn't require motive as an element, because we literally can't crack open a defendant's head to ask him or her why it is that they engaged in oftentimes unexplainable conduct. But I think what this case makes manifest is that the evil, perhaps, that we should fear the most is the evil we don't see coming.
Michael Bixon, where do you attack if you're representing this defendant?
I understand the defense is obviously going to exploit the fact that, the state can't show motive, or at least they don't have one as of yet, along with the fact that it is circumstantial, but obviously they can get a conviction based on circumstantial evidence. So I think for the defense, if they can come up with some alternative theory, that's whenever you have a circumstantial case that becomes key, that's a great thing to have. But the question is, are they actually going to be able to come up with something?
Yeah, and explaining everything away, Casey, is difficult. Yeah, okay, he's got the business card. Well, they're the property management company. He has the business card in his truck. That's not nothing. Now, he is in possession of an unique orange coat that he decided to wear to a quadruple murder, which is very identifiable, and they find that, and the shell casings are tough to get around. Do you expect we're going to hear the security at the mobile home park was poor? Anybody could have gotten in there. He was a busy man. He's a chiropractor. He's there, and he doesn't lock his door. I mean, where would you go with this if you're representing him?
Well, there's a lot of avenues in this case. Primarily, there may not be motive, but there is a connection. But in this case, you don't have eyewitness testimony to state that that was the person. We know that his face was covered with a ski mask, but we also know that there were other people who had access to the management company. And although it's connected to his mobile home, there's a host of other reasons why that particular management company could have been the target of this heinous crime. It could have been, a botched robbery or any of this sort. But I would definitely say that the fact that there's a lack of eyewitness testimony to identify him as a trigger man is the defense's strongest point.
Yeah, hammer that home. We don't have an ID, and we'll see where it goes. We expect we'll hear the opening statements on Wednesday morning, tomorrow, day 2 of jury selection. And as Chanley reported, they do believe they will sit a jury by the end of the day.